Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Pam and today's video is going to be my March wrap-up. So in the month of March I read 9 books. Yes, I'm really happy. It was a strange month. I'm gonna explain it why, but yeah. Let's start with the first book that I read in the month of March. So the first book that I read was How to Stop Time by Haig. This was so good. I give it a 5 out of 5 star. I absolutely loved it. Haig is starting to be one of my favorite authors. I really love his writing style. I really love his character. I really love the relationships that he makes with the characters, and it was just so good. In this book, we're following Tom, the main character, and basically Tom has a a medical condition that basically makes him not age, or age like really slowly. So when we encounter him, I think he's over 100 years old, but he looks like he's 40. We're following him in different times in his life. So basically there's a time when he's a young adult and he's meeting the love of his life. We're following him later on when he tries to not be part of a kind of secret society with people that has the same condition as him. We're following him when he's a professor, a history professor. We're also following him meeting like really known people like F. Scott Fitzgerald or Shakespeare and stuff, and it's really interesting. And basically one day he meets a woman and he falls in love with her, but there's a rule that you can't fall in love with a person that is like normal, that has that age normally. And he tries to bend that rule, and also he's trying to find his daughter because he's pretty sure that his daughter has the same medical condition as him, so he wants to find her. Basically that's what's going on. It was so good. I listened to the audiobook for it and I loved it. Haig has a way of writing characters that is so compelling. They're so interesting, and the plotting, oh, it was so good, so good. I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars, like I said. Next I reread Station 11 by Emily Mendel. I vlogged my experience rereading this book 1 year after COVID. I'm gonna leave my reading vlog in the eye if it's up. If not, I will try to remember to go back to this video and put it. But yeah, I really explore everything. All my thoughts is in this vlog on this book. But yes, this was a 5 out of 5 star. Amazing, really scary the second time reading it because of what is going on right now, but yeah, I still really enjoyed it. Next I read How the King of Elfham Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black, and oh my god, I gave it a 5 out of 5 star. I absolutely loved it. The Crow Prince, well, the Folk of Hair series is one of my favorite series. It's my guilty pleasure series. It's so good. If you want a true enemies to lover story, please read The Crow Prince. And enemies to lover, I'm talking about like knife to the throat and like I'm gonna fucking kill you for real. But the sexual tension that is present is just so good. Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, this is an amazing series, and this was just a really good addition to it. I really enjoyed it. We're following Carden in different time in his life, and I really enjoyed it. And there are some stories of him and Jude also in it. It is just, yes, I loved it. I loved it. There's kind of a character, like a storyline that is continuing through all the stories. I think there's 12 stories if I'm not mistaken. There's 11 stories in this, and yeah, there's like this continuity throughout all the book, and it was amazing. I read it in one sitting. absolutely loved it. So 5 out of 5 star. Next, I read Piecing Me Together by Renee Watson. This was my second book by this author. And oh my god, I think again, she like Matt Haig, she is becoming one of my favorite author. She has a way with words that is just so impactful and are just like so like go straight to the heart. And yeah, an amazing writer. In this one, we're following a young girl named Jade. She's in high school and she's kind of lost. She kind of know what she wants to do, but she feels like people are not giving her the opportunity to really grow and to really achieve her goal. And mainly the reason is because of her race, because there's racism, systemic racism to be more precise, because it's institutionalized. That's a word that is like the same in French, so it's really hard for me to say, but yeah, institutionalized. It's in the school system. It's just there for, and it's been there for so long that people are not seeing it as racism, but it is. This was so good. Jade is such a strong main character. I really loved that book. I want to read more by Renee Watson for sure. This was a 5 out of 5 star. Loved it. Next, I read The Skin We're In by Desmond Cole. So this is a nonfiction about racism in Canada, and yeah, I tabbed the shit out of this book. This is so important, and this was so enlightening for me. This book taught me how much racism and systemic racism is present in our country. And there's a quote here that I want to find it, because it says, the average white Canadian doesn't know that British and French settlers enslaved Black and Indigenous peoples on these lands for 2 centuries. Those who do acknowledge slavery in Canada often had that it was not as bad as in the States. It was. I'm sorry, but it was. And it's crazy because I think I was that person not a long time ago, before I started to educate myself and to read books on the subject. And I think I was that kind of person not a long time ago. I think I was one of those persons who were saying, I do acknowledge that there was slavery in the past here in Canada. I know that slavery was a thing, but I will always had, but it's not as bad as in the States. But it was, and it still is. We just don't hear about it because there's so many crimes against Black people that are happening here in Canada. We just don't hear it as much on the news as the United States crimes. And there's so many, because all the orange tabs are all example of a crime that was made against Black people. There's so many, and they're all crimes that I didn't know about. And yeah, because it's just not said in the news, and it's just really frustrating. We just don't talk about it. And also, the justice system is just bullshit. It's just like really crazy how the justice system is really protecting police officers and also rich white cis men. It's disgusting. This is a must read, seriously, especially for all Canadians. Like, yeah, go read it. It was so enlightening for me. It's definitely a book I'm gonna reread in the future for sure. It was amazing. Next is another reread, but it's a book that I basically forgot everything about it, so it was like a first time read, kinda. And that is Truthwitch by Susan Denard. I read this book for the first time, I think it was in 2017, 2018, can't remember. I listened to the audiobook, and wow, I didn't understand, and I didn't absorb anything about this story, because while I was reading that book physically, I decided to go physically for it this time. And while I was reading it, I was like, oh my god, I was like surprised, like it was the first time that I was reading it, but it really felt like a first time. So anyway, it was amazing. I absolutely loved it, and I think it was a perfect book to read after that one, just because it really brought me into a fantasy world with like a magic system that is so intricate, and it just really helped my mind to calm and just to be entertained, and that was perfect. The magic system, the witchery is just so cool and so intriguing. There's so many kinds of witches in this world, it's crazy. And in this one we're following a Truthwitch, which are like really rare, and her name is Safi, and we're following her thread sister named Isolde. She's a thread witch, so she can see all the connection that different people has with other people, well, witches has with other witches, and she can also make connection and also break connections between people, witches. And witches is not just female, the male are also called witches. And basically Safi and Isolde are being hunted by a blood witch, and a blood witch are basically like assassins in this world. And yeah, that's what I want to say, because this was amazing. This was so good. I oh my god, I loved it. Loved it. So 5 out of 5 star. It was amazing. I completely forgot, but after I finished How the King of Elflim Learned to Hate Stories, I read Warmer Z by Max Brooks. I listened to the audiobook for that one, and I really enjoyed it. It felt like reading a podcast, and it was really interesting. Basically, we're following a virus outbreak that make people become bunkers and trying to eat other people. So basically cannibalism. It was a really good audiobook. It was in the form of like interviews and questions. That's why it felt like listening to a podcast. And also there's sound effects and music throughout the audiobook, and it's a full cast audiobook, so that was really great. And for that one I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. After Truthwitch, while I was reading Truthwitch, I decided to go with another reread, and I decided to listen to the audiobook of Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jake Kristoff. This is one of my favorite sci-fi series of all time. This is, if you haven't read the Illuminae files, like, go read it. It's amazing. It's all in this mixed media format. It's really cool, and basically we're following Katie and Ezra, and they live on this planet called Carenza 4, and one day a big industry called the biotech industry decides to bomb and destroy Carenza. It's a mining colony, so people are trying to fled and to go to safety, and yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. It's so good. And this time around I decided to go with the audiobooks, and oh my god, the audiobooks is amazing. Felt like watching a movie. It was amazing. First, full cast. Second, sound effect. Third, music. Fourth, voice effect when there's like a battle, and oh god, it was so good. The audiobook was amazing. When I'm gonna reread Gemina and Obsidio, the second and third book, I am going to listen to the audiobook. They're just, oh my god, they're amazing. 5 out of 5 star. Like, I heard so many good things about the audiobook, but I thought it'd be like, I would be like overhyped, you know. I thought it would be like, no, yeah, they're good, but not that good. No, they're really good. Really good. So go read it. And finally, why this month was so weird is because of this book, and that is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. I started this book at the beginning of the month of March, and I finished it in April, in the beginning of April. I know, that's why this video is coming up so late. I struggle. I really struggle. I give this one a 3 out of 5 star. And it's not bad. 3 out of 5 stars is really not bad. I just think it's a book that I will need to reread in the future, just because we're following, like, it's so hard to explain. But we're following like 3 characters, kind of. The first one is Navidson, or Navidson. Yeah. And basically, he bought a house with his wife and his 2 kids, and in this house they discovered that the inside is larger than the outside, and there's a door that opens to a dark, long hallway. And Navidson decides to go explore, and then he found those stairs and those doors, more doors and stuff, and that part is so good. Okay, he has cameras and stuff. There's also other people that are going to join into the exploration of the house, and it's just, that part was my favorite. It was just so good. And that part is transcribed by this man called Zampano. That man is a blind man, and he died one day, and he couldn't finish, transcripting everything about the Navidson records. That's how it's called. And so we're following Johnny through it. I really hate that character. Johnny is annoying. He will comment some parts of the Navidson records, and then after that he goes rambling about his life and how every time he encounters a woman, they want to have sex with him, and they're giving him like drugs, and it's just, like, I don't care. I really hate his part. His part was the worst to go through, to be honest. It's really weird. It's a mixed media kind of thing too. There's some pages who have like 2 words on it, and there's other parts that are like this. You have to turn the book in different position to read it, but there's a lot of footnotes in this book. They're all referring to like either exhibits at the end of the book, or appendixes, or Johnny's thoughts, or books, or interviews, or fictional books and interviews and stuff. And yesterday I just watched Kayla's Over at Books and Lala, because basically that book was is the March book pick for the Literally Dead book club that she's hosted. And basically she did her March wrap up, and she talked about that book and how she absolutely loved it, and it was a 5 out of 5 star. And she said that she read it twice, and she's going through a 3rd time. And the first time she went through everything, even the footnotes, and she went back and forth with the exhibit and the appendix and stuff, and she read everything. The second time she only read the Navidson records and didn't go through all the footnotes. She didn't read the footnotes, she didn't read Johnny's part, she just read the Navidson records part. And I think that's what I want to do. I think if I do reread this book this year, it's how I'm gonna go through that story. I'm gonna read only the Navidson record. Yeah, maybe my mind would change on this book, but I think I really believe this is a book that you can't read just once. You have to read multiple times to really grasp what is going on. So I will in the future, not now, because now I'm done with it. So this is it, guys. This is my March wrap up. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have read House of Leaves, let me know how you felt about it, and let me know in the comments also your favorite book that you read in March, as I would like to know. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.